All right, player movement. This might be the final week because I think the only person that hasn't announced where they're going is Chandler Kramer. I think after this week, I'm pretty sure we're not waiting for any more announcements. The big one that we were waiting for was Niklas Anttila. And from his Instagram post, I thought he was leaving Discmania. It sounded like he was leaving Discmania. After we talked about it on the podcast, people were letting me know, like, hey, it, he kind of left it open ended. And some people actually guessed correctly that he wasn't actually leaving Discmania. He's just going to get onto the Sky team. Eagles leaving. He basically is taking Eagles' spot on the Sky team. Or I guess Gannon was added to the Sky team as well. So, however you want to see it. Now, my question to you, though,
Hmm?
Yuli, was this planned out all along? Was his initial announcement, hey guys, starting a new chapter, this one's over, was that like to get us to think he was leaving when he knew he wasn't? Or was that basically saying like calling Discmania's bluff or something and saying like I'm out, I'm leaving, and then Discmania came back and offered something he couldn't refute? Like what were your thoughts on that?
I was thinking the same thing because I thought that his announcement was talking about him leaving for sure, the way that the verbiage was and everything. But then him signing again, I'm like, all right, nice job. Kind of got us thinking and waiting, and then dropped, the extension.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably what happened.
So he ends up signing a 4-year deal with Discmania. At the end of this contract, he will be with Discmania for 10 years. He's been with them for 6. He's going to be with them for 10 years after this contract. He now, like I said before, he now joins Kyle Klein, Gannon Burr on the Sky team. He will also be getting his own mold for this upcoming season. So that will be cool to see kind of how that works out.
I loved his video too that they came out with.
It was very
Ga-
professional. It was well
yeah,
done.
gave a little background of him and everything, and the time that he spent there, and it was probably my favorite one so far this year.
It was very well done. This is from Frisbee Golf Media. Uh, Talking to Niklas, he said, "I'm at the part of my career where I've established myself in the U.S. and in Europe. I wanted a longer period so that I don't need to think about these things. Long contracts, a long contract gives me peace." So it sounds like the 4-year deal was one of those where he's just like, all right, I can chill for 4 years. Like I know that I'm good for 4 years. I don't have to stress out. So shout out to him, especially in a time where not that many people are signing long contracts. A lot of 1-year deals are going out right now. So for him to lock in 4 years, shout out to him. Dismania's founder went on to say, UC went on to say, um, as far as he knows, Antilla's contract is the biggest European contract. When asked if Nicholas can achieve €1 million during the next 4 years, he replies, "It is possible, even probable." So it sounds like his guarantee contract is not at $250,000 a year, or else he would have said 100%. But it sounds like there is a chance for him to earn $250,000 a year through bonuses and royalties and all that stuff. But biggest European contract. I was trying to think of other big names. You have Vino would be the one. We know Christy Tatar is making 125 a year, which I don't know what her contract will be once that one ends up getting. But I'm trying to think who else would have like big contracts on the
I mean,
European side.
Stepo, but he
Not,
retired. But
yeah, he's
back,
not
but when
touring as
he, but
much.
when he was signing those contracts, I bet they were pretty big.
Yeah, the only name that really popped off, and maybe I'm missing someone. The only name that really popped off is that would probably get a big contract as well is probably Vino. So
Well,
um,
Vino is insanely popular in Finland. Like
he's
he is absolute superstar.
he is
I
massive.
think somebody told me that he's more popular than Nicholas.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
He is.
which is kind
He
of
has.
crazy because I feel like Niklas has more achievements, maybe.
I think Vino though has been doing the social media side a little bit more.
Right.
So he has a bigger social media following. Some other announcements. We didn't touch on this one, or maybe we did, but maybe we skimmed over it. I want to talk about this one a little bit longer. We have Lisa Fakis announcing on her Instagram saying, "Stoked to announce I'll be 100% open bag by choice in 2024. After 7 awesome seasons with Innova and 1 with Lone Star, I'll be representing Team me, while throwing all my favorite brands. Beyond that, I have a dream retail sponsor I will be teaming up with. Absolutely stoked to be joining the new team OTB East. This is the launch of OTB East. Check them out. Step 1 for me is getting comfortable with my new bag and ready to go for the season." So, our first ever, this might be our first ever announcement on Tour Life of a player that is deciding to not have a sponsor in Tour full time. That seems risky.
Well, it depends because I feel like some players who have a manufacturer they're going after, I mean, there's kind of a set price out there right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some players just aren't getting contracts, period. Like, they're just not getting them. I have a lot of people who have come to me and been like asking, "Hey, is there a spot on the team?" or blah, 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 not to name names. And there's not contracts going out for certain players. Lisa is a decorated player. She's known for being a great putter on the tour.
Almost was a world champion.
Yep. She's won silver events. She's been top 3 in multiple other big time events. So she's a pretty high caliber player. I'm wondering though if you're gonna, I mean, what is the number? If a manufacturer, let's say, offers you $500 a month to throw their brand, but you can be like, okay, I'll play for OTB and then I can get discs from all kinds of different brands with my stamp on there. Will I be making more? And I think the answer is yes. So I don't think that this is a crazy scenario for some players to do, to be able to be like, okay, OTB, I don't want a contract with anybody. I want to be able to get, let's say, some zones. I want to be able to get some destroyers, put my stamp on those and sell them all through the retail shop. I don't think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think we are all after that guaranteed money. That is the kicker right now. The supply for discs is through the roof. When I first came in, there were a handful of Tour Series discs that people wanted, and that was pretty much it. Now there are so many players on both sides, really, MPO and FPO, to where if you're not in that like elite group, it's tough. It's tough to have people buy your discs.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. So I think what we're seeing too from a lot of these companies, and we've talked about this a little bit, is some companies got a little bit out, some manufacturers got a little bit out over their skis during COVID, and we're literally just handing money out to players and saying like, you get a sponsorship, you get a sponsorship, you get a sponsorship, and signing these big time sponsorships with tons of players. And now that we've kind of come off of that, of where, and a lot of people say COVID, I think it was a combination of people literally just getting those checks in the mail. What were those called? Stimulus checks. I mean, those, I don't know what the percentage was, but I wouldn't be shocked if like half the fans of disc golf were just using those straight to disc. Like,
sure.
Like, I don't know what the percentage is, but it seems like a lot. And now that I'm in the card collecting world a little bit, it seemed like that's what was happening in the card collecting world.
Yes.
Is people were getting these stimulus checks, and now they're just going out and using that money straight to buy more boxes to open. So,
well, not only that, but they were they were going back. They're stuck inside. They're going in their closet and finding old baseball and football cards. And then people are online looking and selling, trying to make a little extra money. And then it just kind of blew up.
Yeah. So you had the stimulus checks from people, but then you also had manufacturers not being able to make discs anymore, right? People, they weren't having as many hours. They had supply issues. And so that just made everything seem like the demand was so much higher than it actually was. And now that the demand has kind of come to like a flat line, or at least now we're more of a steady state, I guess you could say. I think a lot of these manufacturers are saying, hey, we've got 5 dudes and we got 3 girls and they're all ballers. Adding an extra person, I don't know if that really does much. So we'll see. And we're going to get into it right now. You have Sai Ananda signing a 2-year extension with West Side. Jake Mon, 1 year with DGA. Scott Withers, 1 year with AGL. Ezra Robinson, 1 year with Prodigy. Holland Hanley signs a 2-year deal with, or 2-year extension with Discraft. And then DGA signs 1-year deals with Alezra, Parker Welk, Macy, Evan Scott, and Sullivan Tipton. So we're seeing a lot of these companies be a little bit more cautious when it comes to sponsorships and saying, "Hey, let's just do a 1-year deal."
Do you think it's the manufacturer, or do you think it's the player also being like, "Hey, I just want a 1-year deal"?
The only person on that list that I think was the only person on that list that wanted a 1-year deal was Ezra Robinson. Not a single other of those people were wanting a 1-year deal. No shot. Ezra's smart. Ezra's like, "Hey, I'll do 1 more year with Prodigy. I get a chance to build up my resume a little bit more. Then I can make a big move." All these other people, no, I don't think so. Because you got to think, like, Sullivan Tipton left Discraft. He was looking for a sponsor. Parker was looking for a sponsor. Macy was looking for a sponsor, which shout out to DGA for picking Macy up. I mean, Scott Withers and Jake Mon, I didn't even know that they were out of sponsorships. So yeah, I mean, I think the majority of us would want to have that long-term commitment, long-term contract, unless you are in a stage of where you're like, listen, where I was last year is completely different to where I'm going to be at next year. I'm betting on myself. Let's do 1 year. Are you agreeing, or do you think some of those people wanted a 1 year? I could be totally off.
I agree. I was just asking the question because I do think there is a little wiggle room there to give some people the benefit of the doubt, like you did with Ezra, to be like, okay, probably wanted a 1-year deal.
The only thing with Ezra is it's like Ezra didn't claim that he was leaving. I didn't see any posts about Ezra leaving Prodigy. So that seemed to be more on the back, like behind the scenes deal, where Parker, Macy, Sullivan, Tipton, Evan Scott's an interesting one because I think, was he on Discraft last year?
Yeah.
And I think Discraft at DGA is not an ideal situation, right?
I mean, depends on what you're looking for. Listen,
what would, as a player, what would make you want to go from Discraft to DGA?
Well, think
and
about it.
And for those wondering,
Discraft
makes DGA's discs.
Well, look at the elite team. Like Evan Scott had a great year.
Mm-hmm.
He made lead card at the Worlds, had a good chance to win the World Championships. He won a Silver Series event in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
He pushed Ricky to the brink in Washington. Like, he was having a baller season. And so if the points don't add up to where you get that Elite Series spot and you can go to DGA and get your own disc and have that spot, then it makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean?
So he's going to get a tour disc at DGA, not a tour disc at Discraft.
I think so.
But if both were equal, I mean, I think DGAs would come out and say that as well, as like they are. I'm trying to think of some other. It's the same thing as like Millennium and Innova, right? Like, you want to be sponsored by Innova instead of Millennium.
Well, it also looks like
if you could pick.
It also looks like DGA's making a nice little push here to grab some good players and maybe kind of separate themselves a little bit from that narrative of, hey, I'm the little sister of Discraft. You know, now they're
I
picking
like
up
that you
some
went with
good players
sister.
because now they
Nice.
have a stacked team, and don't forget Katrina Allen's on that team as well.
They have, and looking at the team too, a bunch of young players,
Mm-hmm.
right? They've got a bunch of young players, and is it Ellie Ezra? Is that how you pronounce it? Ellie Ezra? I think it's
Yeah.
Ellie Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
Um, look for her next year to potentially make a push at some of these tournaments as
Yep.
well. So maybe you're right. Maybe they are, doing kind of what was it, hooligan disc that decided to like get away from Lone Star. I don't know. I haven't heard anything, but maybe this is a step in that direction of where it's like, all right, Discraft, we've been under your wing for this amount of time. We feel like we're ready to kind of go off and do our own thing. So maybe we'll see it. Maybe we'll see that happen. That will definitely be cool if that ends up going on.